Conflict. Let's be real. It's just a part of life, whether you're at work, at home, or just out with friends. But here's the thing. While everyone deals with conflict, how we deal with it is incredibly personal. So we're going to dive into the 5 basic styles you can use to handle pretty much any disagreement that comes your way.
I mean, think about it for a second. We run into little conflicts all day long. That classic back and forth over what to watch tonight or where to order dinner from. Yep, that's a conflict. It's like a tiny negotiation that actually says a lot about how we handle the much bigger, more important disagreements.
So what is conflict anyway? Well, our source material here has a great definition. It's not just about a fight or an argument. It's any situation where it seems like my goal and your goal just can't exist at the same time. I want pizza, you want tacos, so it feels like we're stuck. And that word seems is doing a lot of heavy lifting there, because a lot of the time, that incompatibility is more of a feeling than a fact.
Okay, and this is probably the most important thing to get. There is no magic one-size-fits-all solution for conflict. Not a single best style. The people who are really good at this stuff aren't just masters of one approach. Nope, they have a whole toolkit, and they know exactly which of the 5 styles to pull out for the right situation.
Because once you understand these different styles, you can stop just reacting on autopilot and start responding with a real strategy. You can actually turn what feels like a frustrating argument into a productive conversation. And that can change a simple disagreement into a chance to find a way better outcome for everybody involved.
All right, first up, the competitive style. This is your assertive, power-focused approach. The whole mindset here is pretty simple. Conflict is a contest, and the goal is to win. It's all about going after what you want, even if it comes at someone else's expense.
The source material really nails the vibe of this style with this phrase, standing up for your right. It's got this forceful, decisive, almost unapologetic feel to it. Think about a lawyer arguing a case in court, or a manager who has to make a really tough call in the middle of a crisis. That's the competitive style in action.
And here you can really see the trade-off, right? In an emergency, this style can be an absolute lifesaver. When an unpopular but necessary decision has to be made, it gets things done. But if you use it all the time, well, that's when you start seeing the costs. We're talking damaged relationships, people feeling like they're never heard, and a whole lot of resentment building up over time. It's a powerful tool for sure, but you have to be super careful with it.
Now let's just swing all the way to the other end of the spectrum. Let's talk about the accommodating style. This approach is totally unassertive, but very cooperative. You're basically putting the other person's needs way ahead of your own. It is the classic, you win, I lose situation.
And this quote from our source just perfectly captures the big risk here. When your main goal is just smoothing or harmonizing, you might end up with what's called a false solution. You see, the actual problem, the root of the conflict, it isn't solved at all. It just gets swept under the rug for the sake of keeping the peace for a little while.
So when does this make sense? Well, it can be a really smart strategy when you realize, hey, I'm actually wrong here, or when keeping the relationship intact is your #1 priority. But the danger is pretty obvious. If you accommodate too often, you're going to find that your own important needs and goals just get ignored again and again.
Okay, next we have the avoiding style. This is what happens when you just sidestep, delay, or totally withdraw from a conflict. It's not assertive and it's not cooperative. It really is a we both lose scenario because absolutely nothing gets resolved. And as our source points out, this is an intentional move. It's not that you're just busy or you forgot. You are actively choosing to ignore the problem. You're kind of just crossing your fingers and hoping that if you don't look at it, maybe, just maybe, it'll go away by itself.
Now, sometimes avoiding is the strategic play. For really small issues or when you just need a moment to cool off and think, it can be a smart move. But you got to be careful, because a lot of the time, it's just kicking the can down the road. The problem can sit there and fester and get bigger, and you risk other people thinking you just don't care.
So we've covered win-lose, lose-win, and even lose-lose. But what about trying to find a solution where everybody wins? Well, that brings us to our last 2 styles, which are both about cooperation, collaboration, and compromise.
Now, this is really important because people mix these two up all the time. Collaboration is all about digging deep, talking it out, and trying to find a creative new solution that makes everyone happy. It's a true win-win, but it takes time and trust. Compromise, on the other hand, is a bit more practical. It's about finding a quick, good enough middle ground where each side has to give up a little something.
So if you want a simple way to think about it, it's this. Collaboration is like trying to bake a bigger pie so everyone gets a full slice. Compromise just accepts the pie as the size it is and focuses on splitting it up fairly.
One creates, the other divides. So after all that, what's the big takeaway? Well, the goal isn't to just pick your favorite style and use it for everything. The real skill is building the flexibility to look at a situation, take a breath, and consciously choose the right tool for that specific job.
So let's put it all together. This is your conflict toolkit. Think of competition as your hammer. You only use it for emergencies. Accommodation is your peace offering for when the relationship matters most. Avoidance, that's your pause button. Collaboration is your creative workshop for the big, important stuff. And compromise is your negotiation table, perfect for getting a quick and fair deal done.
So I'll leave you with one final question to think about. We all have a default setting, right? That one style we fall back on when we're stressed or surprised. So take a second. What's yours? And maybe more importantly, is that default style really helping you get what you want out of your work and out of your relationships?